What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another fantastic week of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We got a lot to talk about, man. This is week 148, Mr. Clevon. We got a lot to talk about this week. The Bucks win their first NBA Finals championship in 50 years. We got Team USA making some changes already, Clevon. They didn't even get over to Tokyo before they started making changes. I guess that was a good thing, right?
We'll see.
We got some NFC South predictions. No, it's NFC North predictions this week, right? In this NFC North predictions this week, we're going to talk about this day in history, as always. And we got some fantasy football. Our watch list continues this week. It's our receivers that we're going to take a look at. Next week, fans, it's our defenses that we're going to take a look at, and that's it. I can't talk fantasy football until we get underway. Mr. Clevon over here trying to steal some ideas. I cannot give him too many ideas because we already know he struggles with fantasy football, so I can't really give him too many ideas. And so we're going to have to limit this right now. I'm doing this for you, fans. We don't review the quarterbacks, the running backs, receivers today, defenses next week, and no more fantasy football talk until the season is live. And then I start putting up W's in the win column in these leagues I'm in. So that's going to be that. Clevon, thank you for joining me. I want to give a shout out to the guys from HNB Media for doing their thing over there. So you can watch us live a couple different ways. YouTube, Voice of the Fans on YouTube, HNB Media TV on YouTube, or you can stream us and hear us on any podcast platform that you use. Spotify, Tuned In, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox, almost any iHeartRadio, almost any podcast platform that you listen to podcasts on, we're going to be there. So tell Alexa, pull up Voice of the Fans, and she's going to pull up our latest podcast for you guys. So this is week 148, Mr. Clevon, July 22nd. And as we do each and every week, man, we talk about the numbers. The number 22. Who wore that number best, or who comes to your mind first? When you think of that number 22, Clevon, who's that guy?
Emmitt Smith. He's the answer for both parts of your question.
Come to your mind first, and he wore it best. Did he wear it better than Dave Brown, cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks?
Yes.
You probably don't know who Dave Brown is. I know.
I do know who Dave Brown is. But yes, he wore it better. Yes.
And Elgin Baylor for Seattle U.
Fantastic champion, but the 3-time Super Bowl leading rusher of all time wore it best. Yes.
The leading rusher, I have to agree with you on that. And there's a couple clips of me talking to Emmitt where Emmitt didn't like the way I was going, talking about why he was holding out. Well, he corrected me. It wasn't a holdout because he didn't have a contract. And I'm saying, Emmitt, why don't you come to camp? He's like, no, dude, I'm not under contract. Why am I gonna come to camp? Kind of funny. Check that out, Voice of the Fans on YouTube. Emmitt Smith getting after me, telling me to do my homework. Then it's a week 48, 148 rather, I should say. We got the number 48. This is a little tougher one. When you think of the number 48, who comes to your mind, or who wore that number best?
You know, Cam, when I was thinking about it, not a lot of number 48s, but the first person that comes to mind has got to be the cat chasing Bob Gibson's ERA record, which is Jake DeGrom from the Mets, who wore it best. Such a weird number, still to be determined. I would have to go with Jake DeGrom.
Yeah, I guess
wearing it the best.
I guess that's not a bad one. Torrey Hunter got a championship though, right? Torrey Hunter won a Major League World Series, so you can put him up there. Jimmy Johnson, the race car driver,
the 48 car is not an athlete, so therefore disqualified.
Disqualified. Yeah. Well, I mean, somebody got to drive the car, though.
Yeah, somebody's got to drive.
So you're saying race car drivers are not athletes. That's what I'm hearing from you. Really,
You're hearing this in two parts. A, race car drivers not athletes, and the second part of that is the number that the car that they're racing is not make them an athlete. So no.
well, I can agree with the second part, but race car drivers are not athletes. I mean, they have to train. You don't see no fat race car drivers, not anymore. So they have to train. They have to be prepared to drive that 500 laps or whatever it is. They have to take that beating. Because I don't know if you sat in a race car. It's like it's not comfortable. It's not like you're.
It's not comfortable. It's hot and all that. But yeah, no.
There's no padding on the seats. I mean, they're shaking. No. You're not buying it, huh? No. I think that you got a lot of fans that would agree with you. Man, so let's get into it. NBA Finals is over. Now, when this final started, you and I both, although we had separate guys that we were trying to we believed there was a coordination for, you and I both believed that the Phoenix Suns was going to walk away with this fairly easily. Where they jumped out in a 2-0 lead. You know, it was looking like I thought Chris Paul was I thought it was he engraved his name on the trophy after game 1 performance. Then after game 2, Devin Booker stepped up with his 40-point game. In game 3, he put up another 40-point game. But along with the NBA celebrating the Phoenix Suns, Giannis, like there was Jordan and the Jordanaires back in the, when was that, 92, 93, 94, right? 91, 92.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, there was Jordan and the Jordanaires. So what do we call Giannis? Giannis and the Bucks? I mean the Giannis in the Antetokounmpo-neers? What do we call them? Because Giannis single-handedly, man, from the block that he had to cement their game 4 win, right? To a 40-point performance he had. I think it was in game 3. And then his 50-point performance he had in game 6. Like, Giannis' fingerprints was all over this finals. And they go ahead and, is it a gentleman's sweep? What do you call this when they just lose the first 2 and come back and sweep the rest? It's not a gentleman's sweep, but there got to be a name for that. They swept the rest of the finals after the 2 losses. Swept them. Went 1-2 at home, went 1-1 in Phoenix, and then came back and wrapped it up at home. I mean, they swept them out the finals and sent them home. The Phoenix Suns, that is. And I mean, all praise goes to Giannis. I did say that Giannis, and we said this after game 2, unless he developed a go-to move, like they were going to be in trouble. And I don't think he established a go-to move. I'm not going to say he established a go-to move, but what I will say is, in that game 6 performance, he knew who he was and knew how to win, how to beat these guys doing what he doing what he does. And that's get in the paint and make it happen. He doesn't have a go-to move. You saw all kind of flip shots, all kind of Euro steps. You saw him trying to go reverse lay-in. There was no go-to move there. I just imagine when he gets to work this offseason. And I'm glad he didn't go work out with LeBron when LeBron asked him to. But I wish he would go work out with Olajuwon and come up with a drop step, a turnaround jumper, a jump hook shot from the baseline, and just perfect the go-to move. Because he couldn't be stopped. And that's what I was screaming from the time the game started, the game 6 started, which I by the way, I thought was the ugliest. Game 6 was the ugliest NBA Finals game I've seen in my life. Game 6 was the ugliest. Aside from Giannis going for 50, which it wasn't the prettiest 50, because he just got to the paint. If you put his foot in the paint, the bucket was going in. When he took the 1 3-pointer I think he took, I'm like, Giannis, no, Giannis, do not. He took it in cash. It was cash. But I was thinking, Giannis, do not come outside the paint. You go get your foot inside the paint, and they could not stop him. Ayton couldn't stop him. They tried to put Mikal Bridges on him. He couldn't stop him. They tried to double team him. He was still going up and getting a rebound, and he was doing work down low. They could not stop him. Did you see that game the same way? Did you see the same thing happen? I mean, you had to see the same thing happening, right?
Well, first off, congratulations to the newly anointed NBA champion, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And secondly, I don't want to be in the same vein as you are with regards to what I thought Giannis could do. I've gotten some text messages back from his people, and they understand where I was coming from with it all. But they're still a little bit sour, still a little bit bitter on your characterization of what he's capable of doing, and kind of what his skill set was. But
did you see it go to move? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you see it go to move in there?
So again, if I could continue.
Okay, I'm just wondering. Just answer that question for me. Let me know if you saw it go to move, because I didn't see one.
He was probably the most dominant player in an NBA Finals you've ever seen. Okay.
I don't know if he was more dominant than Shaq, but okay.
Really? You don't think he was more? Shaq was more dominant. Which year are you referring to?
It was Shaq over the Nets. When was that? The Nets in 2000? Or no? That was
great. Did he go for 50, 14, and 5?
Well,
and go 16 for 18 from the free throw line in a closeout game?
Nope, he didn't, because Shaq had somebody else on that team. Giannis is Giannis in the Buccaneers, because your boy Holiday could play defense, but offensively was trash.
True.
Middleton.
I don't disagree.
Middleton. I mean, it was the shooting on that team was absolutely atrocious. It was absolutely atrocious. Middleton ended up with 15 points. Middleton ended up with 16 points. But I think he was like 6 for 14 at one point. It was absolutely atrocious. So Giannis, they had no choice but to go to Giannis, get the ball to Giannis, because he was the only guy doing something. So when you say was he as dominant as Shaq, he didn't. Shaq didn't put. I think he did. Shaq had 1 50-point game, if I'm not mistaken. One. If I'm not mistaken. I have to look it up. But Shaq had Kobe on his team. Like, Kobe's not going to sit back and just go for the ride. You know that. He wasn't just going to go for the ride and allow Shaq to go. What did Giannis go? 17 for 29 or something like that? I mean, he was absolutely murdering these guys. But I thought Shaq was more dominant because they couldn't stop Shaq as far as his game. Like, they couldn't stop Giannis in the sense that they weren't quick enough. Giannis was too nimble, too agile. Anything they did for him, he was just kind of Euro stepping around them. He would bring.
If I can interject here real quick, those backhanded compliments don't mean a whole lot to Giannis. Okay,
there are no backhanded compliments.
They really don't.
I'm giving him
this performance is why I always say that the NBA playoffs is my favorite thing, because it will either anoint or expose you. And I always say that there are no adjustments in the NBA finals. It just has to be the baddest dude on the court. And who is that? Going into the series, we all thought, and I am guilty as anyone, that Devin Booker would be the baddest dude on the court. And for 2 games, when he went for 40 and 40, Devin Booker is the baddest dude on the court. And eventually, the baddest dude on the court will prevail. Until Giannis Antetokounmpo said, nah, bro, actually, I'm the baddest dude on the court. And I am going to go in here and snatch this championship away from you. It's in your hands. It's already been engraved. Chris Paul is the name after your name, but check this out, man. I'm going to grab this trophy, take it back to the engraver, and have him put Giannis on it, because I'm just going to get down.
Correct that, yeah.
And that is what NBA playoff championship basketball is all about. There is no adjustments Monty Williams could have made. Oh, let's go with this defense. Oh, let's put this dude on him. Nah, man. Not at 50, 14, and 5, and 16 from the free throw line. No, there's no adjustments for that. That is just sheer superior talent and having the will to do what the other person won't and imposing their will on the other team. And that is exactly what he did to a fault.
He was 16 for 25. 16 for 25. He was 1 for 3. And as you stated, 17 for 19 from the free throw line when nobody expected him to make free throws. He had 5 blocks. And obviously the 50 points. So yes, there's no question about his dominance. There's no. He was dominant. The Shaq against New Jersey Nets.
Man, are we still doing this comparison thing?
I'm just
saying, like this isn't the greatest performance ever.
I think in that.
Are you still like in doubt?
I'm not in doubt on what Giannis was impressive. What I liked is he didn't come outside the paint.
So what are we talking? What is the argument?
He knew what his bread.
What are we talking about?
There's no argument. Was that the greatest performance I've ever seen? I'd say
it is the greatest performance you've ever seen.
No, I'd say no. I'd say Shaq was more dominant. I'm trying to look for.
Was that a closeout game? That Shaq game? Do you even know? I'm pretty sure because they swept those guys. It wasn't a closeout game. This was 3-2 coming back home. If they went back to Phoenix, who knows what happens? Who knows who gets hurt? Man.
So that would show you that it's even more dominant because they swept them, right? No, is that not how you would see it?
Next topic.
I mean, there is no more next topic. I mean, this is the one.
It's clearly you're not understanding what dominance looks like, man.
Oh my goodness.
Dominating a team when you're up 3-0 is not. I mean, what is that? When it's 3-2, if you go back to Phoenix, it can get really ugly, and you go for 50, 14, and 5.
How do you get to 3-0? I mean, I'm not sure if you. How do you get to 3-0?
They swept those guys. They swept New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what dominant game is this one that you're talking about? Which game was it?
I mean, it's that's what happened.
Game 3? Was it game 4? Which game was it? I thought it was game 3. You tell me. It's not as dominant as like when you're in the game 6, man. This is Magic Johnson territory, and his numbers are more gaudy than Magic even put up.
You didn't have to get there. Is what I'm saying. Is it didn't even need to go 6 games. That's how dominant they were. They didn't even get to go.
That's how dominant Shaq was. We're talking about an NBA Finals performance, man. 50 or whatever when you're up 3-0 is not dominant. It's not the same thing as like when it's 3-2 and you have to have this game or you might not win the finals and you just have the greatest game of your life and you're comparing these two things.
No, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Man, I don't understand where you're coming from.
I'm not taking anything away from what he did. It was a fantastic game. There's nothing I can say. I'm not discounting what he did by no means. I am not.
That's why Giannis doesn't like you. That's why. So my phone keeps blowing up with all these text messages, man, from Giannis's people. They just don't like you. They don't understand what you don't understand. I mean, you went and snatched it.
Giannis don't have to. Giannis, they don't have to agree with me, and I really doubt that they really care what my opinion is because he took home the goal.
No, they care. They're on social media just like everybody else. They care. They understand.
He went and ordered his 50-piece after the game. So Giannis is pretty full of himself. As far as
pretty well, you should be pretty full of yourself when you single-handedly bring a team their first championship in 50 years in Milwaukee. You should be kind of full of yourself, right?
No, kudos to them. Again, what I liked about that performance is that, again, I was screaming this from the bar every time he got the ball, is don't take a shot outside the paint because there was nothing that they could do with them. And graciously, there weren't many shots that he took out that were outside the paint. I mean, he missed a couple bunnies, and they tried to collapse on him a couple times, but he was just dominating. Anything Monty, as you stated, Monty tried to do, they didn't have an answer for Giannis inside the paint because Giannis absolutely killed him. There's no doubt about that. There's no question about that. And so kudos to Milwaukee Bucks for everything that they did here. Where does I just thought Cleveland honestly did. I posted this on in a couple of groups that absolutely killed me. I don't. I thought the game was horrendous for 3 quarters. For 3 quarters of the game, I thought the game was horrendous. Milwaukee couldn't score. Uh, Booker and Chris Paul were having a tough. They were struggling. Maybe some of that was from the defense of Holiday. But I thought the game was absolutely horrendous for 3 quarters. It was 77-77 going into the fourth quarter. And then Giannis closing the game out. His performance was impressive. I even like what Portis did was also impressive, how he stepped up and assisted in closing the game out. But Booker going 8 for 22 was trash, 19 points. 8 and 4 for 12. Bridges 3 for 7. Crowder 4 for 11. I mean, this is terrible shooting here. That both teams, neither team shot more than 27 or 24% from the free throw line. That was horrible. I mean, that was atrocious basketball. Middleton was 6 for 13. It felt like 6 for 23, actually. Brooke Lopez was 5 for 10. Holiday was 4 for 19. Portis, as I stated, was 6 for 10. Middleton, his 17 points, he had a big fourth quarter bucket. But again, Milwaukee shot 22% from the free throw line or from the 3-point line.
Right.
It was horrible. The shooting was outside of Giannis and what Portis did. I mean, those are obviously a big part of the game. But outside of what those two guys did, that was a terribly played game. Would you disagree? Agree or disagree?
No, cool. I like all those stats. It just means that you're ready to come to my side, right?
What's that?
Because talent prevails. It's not about coaching. It's about who is the baddest dude on the court for an NBA Finals, and it was Giannis Antetokounmpo. You just threw me a bunch of stats that just validates my point.
That was a good. So for you saying that this is the first game that you can point to that says,
oh man, there's been plenty of games through the annals of time, Cam. There's been plenty of games through the annals of time that show exactly this.
This is the
baddest dude on the court will win the NBA championship.
What's up, guy? How you doing? Yeah. This is a one game that you could look at to say
it's not a one game, man. Okay, come on, man.
Find another one. Find another one where the baddest guy. And so you want to pull up what Shaq did in those finals. With the baddest guy.
No, why do you keep bringing up this one anomaly of a Shaq game? That's not a closeout game, man.
Okay.
It just goes to the point you just don't understand how NBA basketball works, man.
I don't understand.
Why are you see talking about this one game with the Lakers were up 3-0 and Shaq went out for 50? Oh, that's dope.
I can't
it's way doper when you do it in a game 6 when you have to do it. They were up 3-0 when Shaq did it.
Giannis is at home. Would you tell me another game where that matters? This is your marker, your flag marker game where you can say, okay, talent prevailed because he was the most talented on the court.
You already know that D-Wade 2006 game is legendary, right?
Come on, he got every whistle in the game. He got every whistle in the series.
Oh, so now we're talking about the referee. You bring the referees into it. No, man. We're talking about takeover games, man.
He got every call.
You already know what Kyrie did. You already know what Kyrie did to bring the championship back to Cleveland. You already saw what Isaiah did in '88, and you already know what a takeover looks like. Shaq is not a takeover. It's 3-0, and those guys are tired of playing your big ass and tired of trying to stop you from getting to the paint. So they just let you get in the paint, do whatever you want. It's 3-0. Yeah, man, I'm tired of all this. Go home. That's not the same thing. Not even close.
So as we say, so you give me your thoughts now on Middleton, Holiday, Tucker, Lopez. Do your thoughts change on them? Because I'm still not high on Middleton.
No, my thoughts don't change on them. They're great role players. They did exactly
great's overstatement, but okay.
What they were. They're good role players. They did an admirable job of keeping the Milwaukee Bucks in the series. They all had some timely moments. Drew Holiday stealing the ball from Devin Booker, that's timely, right?
I mean,
Chris
no,
Middleton going for 40. I mean, that's kind of timely, right?
I mean,
So,
half of those points, not half
PJ
of them,
Tucker kind of frustrating Devin Booker, that's kind of timely, right? Okay. So they all had timely performances that contributed to the championship run. However, we all know who put the entire team on their back and carried them farther than they really should have been able to go. But he did it.
Yeah, he did it. He got it done. Kudos to Giannis for getting it done. It's. I mean, we got to come up with the name Giannis and the Buccaneers. I guess is the best way to put it, because those guys are just were along for the ride. Middleton, Holiday, Tucker, Lopez. I'm happy for Tucker. I mean, Tucker struggled. I mean, he was. If you look back at Tucker's just his season, we don't have to look farther than this season. We don't even have to say career, but just this season. Tucker was in Houston with John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins arguing, like complaining about the team falling apart and the team not being focused. Well, he had those two guys to deal with at the beginning of the season, and he ends up winning the championship now here in Milwaukee. So I'm happy for him. Lopez is, he was a Laker a couple years ago and got kicked to the side. He was a cast off from the Lakers squad, so I was happy to see him get a championship. Now, what do you think happens to? So there's some talk now about what do you think happens to Chris Paul? Does Chris Paul resign? Just Devin Booker? I mean, what happened to the coronation, man? We were looking to coordinate these guys. Either one of them. That was our argument. It was who's going to be coordinated, who's going to be more critical to the Suns winning, and with them losing. I mean, Chris Paul breaks down again. He has some critical turnovers, and he has some critical turnovers in crucial moments of the games. Devin Booker, where he's a great scorer. I think he was probably playing better. It's weird to say this, but he was probably playing better without Chris Paul and with the ball in his hands and being the lead decision maker. Where do you see these two go now from here? Some talk about Chris Paul, or the Lakers now are looking at Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. We'll answer that question later. But where do you see Devin Booker going from here? Does Devin Booker a couple things happened in the game where, and we'll go back to what was that game 5 when he got the ball stolen by Holiday. Is if he took an extra step, if he pulls up at the free throw line and shoot the jumper, I mean, we all know he got a silky jumper. If he hits that jumper, there's not a steal, right? And that gives them a 1 point lead. Then instead, he takes an extra step, an extra dribbles into Holiday, who rips it out and goes ahead and throws the alley-oop to Giannis. But there was that situation. If he pulls up, he can hit the jumper and give his team the lead. And then we saw there was a couple times on, what was it, Tuesday night, where he could have similar situation. He didn't lose the ball, but if he pulls up, he gets an easy jumper rather than he take a couple extra steps right into the teeth of the defense. So I think there's still a learning curve for him to maneuver through. But he's a hell of a player. Obviously, he's going to be an all-star next year, no doubt about that. Is he? We said it when it happened 3 weeks ago that there's no way he should be put in the Kobe Bryant conversation. Now we clearly see that there's some growth needed there, right? What do you think? Where would you like to see Devin Booker go from here?
Unfortunately, Chris Paul is going to leave. Is going to betray Devin Booker.
They're going to trade Devin Booker.
He is going to betray Devin Booker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Chris Paul
Okay.
Betray, not trade.
I thought you were saying, yeah, my fault. I didn't hear you.
The Western Conference is going to recalibrate itself, and it may be 7 or 8 years before Devin Booker gets another opportunity to look at a final. Unfortunate for a talent of that magnitude to unfortunately not have been able to grab the brass ring when it was right in front of him. Giannis grabbed it first, and now he has it, and it's permanent.
Yeah.
Don't really think Devin Booker has much of a chance of doing or replicating what he was able to do this season.
Let's just talk this through. So the growth of Ayton has NBA Finals appearance and kind of sees what playing with one of the best guys in the league looks like. As does Cam Johnson, Cam Johnson played a hell of a game, a hell of a series. He played himself into some money, I think. Bridges, I mean, he was not a slouch. I mean, they were role players, but they were young guys. I think that everybody would agree that Phoenix was probably ahead of the game, ahead of the curve a little bit. So these guys get some valuable experience. These guys, even your boy Campaign played good when he got time on the court. So sure. This is a young team paired with Devin Booker. Do I think they're going to be win the West next season? Probably not. Do I think they're going to be in the top four? I think top four is feasible. As we'll see how things shake out. Obviously, the Clippers without Kawhi, Utah. We know what they are.
So Cam, you're already misspeaking. You already know they're going to be a 5 seed, right?
I'm trying. Who's there? Who's going to be 4? I mean, who's in the top 4?
The Lakers will be there.
The Lakers.
The Denver Nuggets will be there, right? Don't think so.
Denver, okay.
Your Clippers going to be there?
Clippers probably won't be there. Not with just Paul
all praises due to Steve Ballmer. Steve Ballmer, if you're watching the show, I am just saying, perhaps the Los Angeles Clippers could be the number 1 team in the Western Conference. I'm not 100% sure right now. We're just prognosticating, a whole year out. So please don't take offense to the words that I'm saying that are coming out of my mouth, because
I'll
Steve
say
Ballmer, we understand the Clippers are certainly, capable of doing that. So please don't misunderstand my words and what it is that I'm saying, Mr. Ballmer.
This doesn't speak to their organizational standards that they have. This speaks to their play on the court. And without their best player, do we expect them to be the 3 seed in the West, which they were this year? No, probably not. They're probably slide to 5 or 6 without Kawhi. So again, we have. I'm not sure if the Lakers got to show me what they're doing. Just LeBron and AD doesn't get them to number 1 in the West.
It doesn't. I mean, it probably does not. But do you think that the Lakers aren't in for some massive roster moves this offseason?
I mean, aren't they saddled? They're heavily saddled with LeBron taking up $30 million.
Contracts can always be renegotiated, especially when you bring friends and family in.
Oh no, they're going to get their friends and family rates now.
might take a couple million less. I mean, to acclimate us to certain acquisitions. I'm just saying.
You're right. So, but they're going.
I'm not Rob Pelinka, so I can't speak for him. But I'm just saying. It seems like that's a real definite possibility.
A lot of work's going to have to be done for them to show me. I mean, you can take that to Vegas right now since you're so confident. I mean, with their.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't hear? Yeah, they're the number 2. Behind Brooklyn.
Yeah, I heard, but that's
to win the NBA championship. That's all. It's not just me and my rhetoric.
Don't bet on that.
It's real talk.
I'm telling you, fans, don't bet on that garbage. Okay, don't bet on that. And that's what I have to say.
And fans, I will tell you the same thing. Don't bet on that garbage until we see how the free agency acquisitions and trades shake out over the course of here to September.
So you still haven't convinced me of why you don't think the Suns, coming off of their bubble experience, now finishing second in the West, why they can't be in the top 4 seeds in the West next year. They're not losing.
I had them at 4.
Oh no, you said they will be finishing 5.
Right, and I think Utah's better. I'm sorry, did I leave that out? I think Utah's better.
Utah got some proving to do as well. I mean,
okay.
They could have a regular season.
So we're arguing about 4 or 5.
Okay. They could. I mean, the Utah could have a good regular season.
They were in the NBA Finals this year, so we're arguing about whether they will be number 4 or number 5. I did not say Golden State. You understand, right? Because we don't really know what Clay is going to do. We don't really know who they're going to draft. We don't really know how Wiseman's going to maturate. And we don't really know if they're going to trade Andre Wiggins or not.
Well, they got
that would be the other wild card.
Yeah,
with regards to whether they finish 4
they have
or
a
5.
lot of flexibility. Golden State does.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see more so what they.
So when you go from
like
from the NBA Finals to back into the Western Conference and trying to battle again, and now you're not a surprise. Now it's not a secret what Devin Booker can do, and you may not have Chris Paul going in. 4 or 5 sounds about right.
Yeah, we'll see. And so speaking of Chris Paul, I mean, I'm assuming that you want Chris Paul on the Lakers versus Russell Westbrook, right?
Better fit, yeah.
I don't even know why there's even a conversation there. And so you get Chris Paul. You guys gonna have to do a lot of shaving of some contracts. You're gonna
Hey. First off, nobody said we were getting Chris Paul. And as we all know, the biggest wild card sitting out there is Logo Lillard. We have to wait and find out where he lands first before all the other moves get made. Nobody's going to commit to CP3 or Russell Westbrook until we know if Logo Lillard wants to come to LA and establish and expand his brand.
So wait, hold on.
Not sure
so you said Chris Paul. Hold up. You got to see what's going on in the Northwest before you make any decisions.
Before we make any real, we commit to $40 million to somebody.
I'm not mad at that. But my intel tells me, we talked to Chris Haynes a couple weeks ago. He said he's not sure, and Damian Lillard's thwarting all rumors that says he's going to ask for a trade. And it sounds like Damian's probably going to play it out more like Aaron Rodgers is going to play out another.
No. Maybe your dude Chris Haynes doesn't have the same network connection that I have. But what I'm hearing is it's either Boston or LA. Yeah,
Boston or LA. I don't think he's going to Boston.
Man, if he gets to Boston, that is terrible for that Eastern Conference.
I don't think he's going to Boston. I didn't hear that one. So
I didn't hear that. Oh, okay, yeah.
You know what? And
I was about to get my phone out, but we can wait till after the show for that one.
Yeah, and Clevon, and I like you. We've been doing a show for going on 10 years now, but I think I'll take Chris Haynes' intel over yours. I think I roll with that intel.
You don't know who Chris Haynes' sources are? I mean, how often does that come true?
That's a good one.
You got them, Peter Vesey type sources sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, whatever.
Boston, I tell you what, this is the first time I heard of Boston, though. We heard of potential of New York.
New York's not happening.
New York is flirting with they're going to try to woo Chris Paul as well. So they're going to try to woo somebody, and they got money where they're under the cap, money to burn. So somebody want to make 35 to 40 million, New York is a good spot for you. So let's talk about
not for Logo, but okay.
So let's talk about this Team USA. Kevin Love, comes down with a strange illness and says all of a sudden he's not in shape and he's not playing. He's not doing Team USA justice like he needs to. And he's gone. Bradley Beal goes back home to St. Louis, and so they bring in JaVale McGee and Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson immediately comes in there. He couldn't wait to get in there, go for 17 and 9, I think it was. What do you think about these additions to their squad? Were they addition by subtracting? They're not non-difference makers? JaVale McGee is a non-difference maker?
No. The difference makers got through with their business that they had to attend to on Wednesday, and they're on the plane.
Who, Middleton?
Tokyo.
Middleton and Holloway?
Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Booker are coming. Yeah, those are bigger moves than Keldon Johnson and JaVale McGee.
So if I'm Booker, why even go to this play in Tokyo?
to win an
Right.
Olympic gold medal, to represent your country, to do the best that you can,
Um, and
expand your brand.
he just was on. He was. I think the NBA Finals is a bigger stage than the Olympic gold medal. Although you can't poo-poo the Olympic gold medal. I think the NBA Finals still was on a bigger platform. And I say why even go, because usually guys go there to kind of learn strategies, pick up on some strategies from different players around the league, um, build that extra chemistry, kind of negotiate some things that we may see play out in the next year or two. But there's KD and Damian Lillard there. Like, I'm not sure that how any of those guys, either one of those guys, can really accentuate the game of Devin Booker. And so, is he gaining anything by showing up and playing? That's all I'm saying. It,
Sure, he's gaining a gold medal. He's gaining to his repertoire, his resume, his trophy case.
and Holiday and Middleton, they might not get off the bench. They might not get off the bench when they
Well, I
get to
mean,
Tokyo.
we'll just have to see how the
They,
rest of the world responds to what the USA team is doing, and sometimes he may need a lockdown uh, defensive player at point guard, and sometimes he may need someone that's has a great mid-range game, and sometimes he may need the
Middleton,
last Jedi
neither one of those
come off
guys
the
have
bench
a
and
great
and
mid range.
throw up 3-pointers from everywhere.
And that's another one that we didn't talk about it earlier. But Booker needs to improve his 3 point game. His 3 point game. That's another area of improvement for him. His 3 point shot was a little better than terrible. Um, but Middleton and Holiday, they might not get off the bench in Tokyo. Um, it's sad to say that NBA champions, they may not get off the bench. Giannis ain't gonna be there to save them. They really may not get off the bench. Uh, Clevon, let's take a little break here. When we come back, man, we're gonna talk about. We got some NFL topics to get into. A lot of things happening within the NFL. We like I say, we're a week away from training camp. This time next week, we're going to be training camp is going to be full for everybody. I'll be attending the Chargers training camp, so I'll have some feedback from them. But we're a week away, and I'm gonna ask you, when does Rodgers show up in Green Bay? Does he show up in uniform week 3 of training camp, or just before game 1? Which is it going to be? And I'm gonna ask you that question, and we can talk about it. Also, somebody gets paid in San Francisco. Somebody gets paid.
They certainly did.
We're going to talk about that here shortly. So let's take a little break.
All right, quick break, Cam.
Yeah. No, you're good. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. You good?
Ready to go.
All right, so let's get into this. Let's get right back into this, Mr. Clevon. This in the NFL this week, man. Like we know, NFL's training camps about to open up. We got some training camps already open up. You hear Jerry Jones are finally admitting, what is it, 26 years later, that he really messed up by letting having too much to drink and letting Jimmy Johnson go out the locker room. He really messed up. He finally admit that. Did you hear that today?
No, he actually admitted that during his Hall of Fame speech that he made some mistakes and let his ego get in front of him, and kind of his whole path to being an NFL owner and how it was all or none. And the NFL really shouldn't let you put all of your assets into an NFL franchise. You're really supposed to have expendable income before you become part of the fraternity, and he did not. So a lot of his decisions were driven by ego and just revenue. So that's not a surprise. I've heard that before.
Talking about ego, and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. This saga here. When do you expect? So Aaron Rodgers has reported that he turned down a contract extension this week. Now, whether he turned it down this week or last week, or whether the Packers reporting this or coming from Aaron Rodgers' camp, I told you I expect Aaron Rodgers to be back in a Packers uniform. I told you that since draft, or a couple weeks ago anyway. I think he's been trolling us all. Sure, he wants out of town, but the Packers have him signed for, I think, 4 years, and they're just not going to let him walk out of town. So I expect him to play one more year, and we'll talk about this later, but just like I expect Russell Wilson to play one more year in Seattle, I expect the Green Bay Aaron Rodgers play one more year in Green Bay.
You still on that Sierra texting back and forth, huh? You know something I don't know?
Well, we haven't texted.
Man, stay in your area, man.
We
stay
haven't
in your
texted
yard, man. Don't come talk about the 12s like that. Don't come talk about Russ like that. You get no extra information. Stick with the A-Rod story, okay?
I haven't.
Don't try to throw your Russell Wilson, prognostication in there.
We can talk about that at another time. I mean, because I know how offended you get. I know how offended you get.
I don't appreciate that.
But when Sierra gives me information, I have to share it with you guys. I haven't got any information from Sierra here in the last couple of weeks. That's why I haven't brought it up. But Sierra puts information out there, and that I understand where it's coming from. I mean, we know. Come on, man. We already know who wore the pants in the house, who called the shots in the Wilson household. So when Sierra says something, it's probably going to happen. And I just got a feeling that this will be the last.
Get back to your subject, man. I don't want to hear all your guff about what you and Sierra be talking about. Get back to the Aaron Rodgers story, okay? And don't try and add friction to what's going on here before training camp. I don't appreciate it.
No friction. It was just
we'll get back to this.
We'll have that conversation later.
Get back on topic then.
So when do you expect Aaron Rodgers to put on a Packers uniform? Will he play any preseason games, or will he suit up, a couple days before week 1 and just say, okay, fellas, I'm here, let's go?
No preseason games. When the Packers go 1-4, they will give him a guaranteed $100 million, and the MVP of the league will come out of the phone booth and do what Aaron Rodgers does.
So they're gonna wait till they go 1-4 before we see Aaron Rodgers. I disagree. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing week 1. I think he's going to play week 1. And again, I'm not saying he may suit up. What do they play? Let me look up their schedule real quick. He may just meet the team at the facility and play. He might not even practice with them. And that's kind of what I'm what I'm predicting. He didn't even practice with them. So they got the Texans October 14th in preseason. So game 1 is where September 12th is in New Orleans. He might show up in New Orleans. He just might show up in New Orleans. Okay, fellas, did you bring my uniform? Did somebody pack number 12 so I could put it on and just play that game? I mean, because I don't see them going. I don't see him coming in midstream. I mean, that would be more difficult for him. I think at least if he starts week 1, they can play a patsy like New Orleans, who doesn't have a quarterback, and he can take a quarter or two to kind of get into the rhythm of the game and be like, okay, Adams, coming in at halftime. Okay, Adams, I got you. Okay, Adams, here.
No. The Green Bay Packers have to see what life looks like without Aaron Rodgers before they give him the $100 million guaranteed, and they will see what it looks like with Jordan Love.
So you got no confidence in Jordan Love?
No.
None? I mean, they drafted him for a reason, don't you think? He can move.
They drafted
in college and he can run a little bit.
For the same reason that a lot of franchises draft really big, strong-armed quarterbacks in the first round, hoping that they are, the second coming of whoever and, the future of their franchise because they're looking forward.
Okay.
But it's not going to work out.
We'll see. We'll see when he show up. I think it'll be right before week 1. I don't think he plays any preseason games. I just think he shows up, whether it's that Friday, whether he just shows up in New Orleans. Who knows? I think he'll play that new game against New Orleans.
Okay.
The Niners, they go ahead and sign they take care of their linebackers. They take care of the guys who perform for him. Go ahead and give him a $19 million year contract versus some other teams in the same division. Like they wait till the guys hits that 30-year-old mark or their last year of the contract. The Niners go ahead and take care of their guys. What do you think about that contract? Now he's the highest paid linebacker, he's the highest paid linebacker in the NFL. It won't be for long because the coach, Darius Leonard, is coming right behind him. By week 1, I understand that he should be signed to break that deal. But what do you think right now the Niners have the highest paid linebacker in the division? What do you think about that?
Hey, man, good for them. If that's what they want to do and that's how they want to allocate their funds within the salary cap, fantastic for them. Happy for Mr. Warner for getting paid.
Oh, that's all you don't want to say nothing about anybody else in the division who claims they got a better linebacker, huh?
Oh, I don't think he's better than Bobby Wagner. If that's what. That's a different conversation.
Oh, okay. Have you guys chose to wrap up Bobby Wagner and keep him happy?
Yeah, he's in the second year of his contract. He's good.
At $14 million.
I believe it's a little higher than that, but yeah.
So
he's more like 17, 18, somewhere in there.
Is it?
It's okay.
I think it's more like 14, but I think he'll be knocking on somebody's door next week. We'll see how that works out. Man, we talked last week we gave you our top running backs of the fantasy football draft, and I was bigging up Cam Akers, and then he goes out there and tears his Achilles. This was not even a team workout. What do you think about that? Look like you're going to have to find somebody else.
It's unfortunate. I mean, those things happen. And, unfortunately, I have experienced that exact same injury to both of my ankles. So I know how arduous the recovery process is for that. But, next man up. They have contingency plans, I'm assuming. So,
yeah, he was their first round draft pick from last year. This was supposed to be his year to sign, so it kind of looks bad upon them, or looks bad for him. And like you say, they'll sign somebody else who comes in and run for 1,200 yards with the way this offense is set up. The Steelers signed Melvin Ingram. Is this a non-factor? Is this a big deal or no deal that they signed Melvin Ingram?
Hard to say. Football players age in dog years, so I don't know exactly what he has left. They definitely do need as much production from the Bud Dupree position as they can get, and if he can contribute some of that, then fantastic. but what he has left in the tank, not 100% sure.
Well, they'll probably scheme a few things for him, so to kind of make it easy for him to make some plays. He can stop the run. That's one thing he can do. Getting to the quarterback is a problem that he's had, and that's kind of the problem that the team has had collectively. So we'll see if he's able to help them, if they can scheme things well enough for him to get to the quarterback. But yeah, that's the problem he had in San Diego or in Los Angeles. Is he's a good run stopper. But getting to the quarterback, whether that's being a step slow or being that a year older, whether that's the reason there. But even with Joey Bosa on the other side, he had problems getting to the quarterback. So we'll see how that works out. And good, at least he's on somebody's team this season. Clevon, how do you watch Monday Night Football? How do you watch football games? Do you watch it? Do you listen to the announcers, the commentators during the game? Do you have the volume up? Do you have it down? Are you listening to music? How do you watch football games?
I watch the volume kind of in between. I don't want to hear too much of what they're saying, depending on who they are. Obviously some commentators and analysts, you give a little bit more credence to what it is that they're saying. So volume up a little bit higher for those guys, volume a little bit lower for guys that are kind of getting their feet wet and kind of getting into the whole, getting acclimated to the whole broadcasting thing and how to,
Tony Romo.
Show a game, how to commentate on a game. So kind of depends on who it is, For example, Buck and Aikman are probably medium.
Okay. And is Romo higher or lower than Buck and Aikman?
Romo's probably about the same.
Really?
Yeah.
If Romo's on there, I can do without the sound. I don't need to. I can predict what's going to happen on my own. I don't need.
I go a little higher with Collinsworth and Michaels. A little higher with them. I used to go a little bit higher when Gruden was, doing the color.
Yeah. I guess I like Buck and Aikman best. Out of that combination you say,
Buck and Aikman the best.
I think Buck and Aikman the best. It took young Buck took some years to grow on me because I believe he got the job simply because his dad did the job. So it took some years to get over that. Aikman, I like Aikman. I like Aikman. I think he breaks down the game well. Romo, I can do without the predictions. I can do without you predicting every play because there's no recourse when you get it wrong. Hell, I can get up there and get 40. I can predict 40 of the 60 plays and get 20 of them wrong. I can do that. I don't. That doesn't impress me at all. Collinsworth, I've heard too much Collinsworth. It's been 20 years now. Collinsworth, come on, the same old. Everything is unbelievable. Everybody is super spectacular. Like, okay, Collinsworth, enough of you. Al, I don't mind Al. I just heard enough of Collinsworth. So, and the reason I asked is because now with the Monday Night Crew, who I can't even think. I'm having a brain fart on who they do. I think I'd like to see Culver do some games. I'd like to see her actually do some games because I think she's a good football mind. She's been doing football long enough that she could probably do a game. But I'm having why am I having a brain fart on the guys who do the Monday Night Football, who did them last year?
Last year it was Tessitore and
no, not Tessitore. Not Tessitore. They had a black guy. He was going for a GM job.
Louis Riddick.
Louis Riddick. I like Lou Riddick. He tried.
Lou Riddick's good.
He gets too. Sometimes he gets stuck because he gets too analytical, or he wants to share so much information, and you don't have that time in between plays to share all the information that he wants to share. Sure. So sometimes he gets stuck. And the quarterback, the former quarterback, wasn't it? But I don't dislike them. I could say, I don't like Louis Riddick and the crew. Lou Riddick, Brian Greasy, who I'm trying to tell you.
Gotcha.
Brian Greasy, he's not bad. He's okay. I think I like Louis.
I didn't mind it. I now that you're bringing it all back to memory, I didn't mind it too much. It did seem like they all kind of were reaching for the mic at times, and like they all had kind of a point to make, and sometimes they didn't all coincide at the same time, and they all had to kind of split their analysis amongst one another. So it was, 3 is kind of hard to do that.
Yeah, Booger I thought was awful. Steve Levy was just okay. Al Michaels, obviously Michaels would be great, but if they could do Lewis Riddick, Brian Greasy, I would love to see Culver in there. I think she's, like I say, she's been doing it long enough. I'd be okay with watching her, listening to her analysis of the Monday Night Football games. But the reason I asked that is because now they're going to have competing against that Monday Night Football crew is Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. Now this is going to be interesting to see how they kind of break down. Are they two brothers watching football? Are they going to be bashing players, or is it just like, did you see? Look at this guy. Did you see what he did? He jumped outside. What is their analysis going to be like? Obviously, that they're going to blow out the regular Monday Night Football crew the first couple of weeks because people's going to be wanting to see how different they are and what it is that they're looking for. But this is an interesting process, having Peyton and Eli do this commentate on Monday Night Football games. What do you expect, and how do you expect to watch that?
I expect there to be a lot of attention initially, and I expect for Peyton and Eli to learn very quickly that it's not as easy as it seems. The Tony Romo transition is somewhat of an anomaly. Other players have tried it, not as successful as Tony Romo obviously has been, and I just don't really know if Peyton and Eli, other than the football royalty and multiple Super Bowls, what they really can bring to the whole analysis of the game. And especially to carry a 4-quarter game, Cam, is hard. I mean, you can say some things here and there. You can kind of get emotional and kind of super analytical at points of the game, but to carry a 4-quarter game is not easy to do. They will find out very quickly.
I think Peyton can come off the toilet and do a better job than Romo right now.
Oh wow!
I think
you and Romo are not friends. What happened out there in SoCal?
Not at all.
Cam, what happened out there in SoCal?
So here's what I think about.
There's got to be a backstory. Tell me the backstory.
No backstory. Just I'm not impressed. I think quarterbacks, and Romo falls into this category. I think quarterbacks, because they have to call the plays. They have to call the plays for when they're accustomed to calling every play of every game, right? When they have the ball, they're not calling plays on defense, but when they have the ball, they're used to calling the game, right? So they're used to being into every game that they play. Therefore, I think most quarterbacks can make that transition. Most quarterbacks, I think, can make the transition fairly seamlessly because they're that involved in the game. Now, we talk about Peyton Manning, who is probably the most well-prepared for any football game that you or I have seen, with his analysis, with his preparation, just to play the football game. I think that if he brings that into the booth, which why wouldn't he? That's going to make him even better, because that preparation is not only has that preparation already been done.
Okay, so Cam, now that you're kind of talking about it, here's what I'm kind of seeing. Peyton has kind of prepared himself for all of this. Has had a little bit more time being, in front of the camera with, the show that he had. Kind of that whole season that he was able to kind of go through.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like when they kind of revert back to Eli, it'll be a lot of, Manning stuff, a lot of, film from the backyard and pictures of when
it's going to be slap the knee. It's going to be slap the knee.
People will eat that up. But I mean, with regards to what his analysis of the game will be, hard to say, and how he will be able to articulate that to a national audience, we'll see.
I think Eli will have the biggest issue because from what we
that's what I'm saying. Eli has not been training all of this, so
that's the point. That's what I'm saying. That's Eli. Well, and we haven't seen that. To be fair to Eli, we haven't seen that transition from him, and so to say he doesn't have it is kind of unfair. It's just because we haven't seen him.
Because as you anticipated going forward, and you're the announcers for Monday Night Football, that's kind of a big thing, man. That's kind of why they, were going to give John Gruden so much money to be that guy, right?
Well,
And kept trying to bring other people in to be that guy, right? So to bring Eli, you're really bringing Eli because he's Peyton's brother. You're not bringing him because he's going to bring this
and that's
really astute analysis or he has this great personality. You're bringing him in because he's Peyton's brother. And they can do that brother-sibling rivalry thing.
Right,
my dad's Archie
right.
Manning,
Right. It's going to be the slap the knees, slapstick comedy. It's going to be that. How long that is sustainable, we don't know. And they're not doing every game. They're not doing 17 games. They're doing 10 games. So and the cool thing is this Omaha Productions is Peyton Manning's company. He's going to pick the 10 games that he wants to do. So he's going to be on the best games. The games would obviously probably more than likely have the most attention to him, right? He's not going to do Jacksonville versus Jacksonville versus who? Excuse me, Chicago. He's not going to do that game. He's going to do Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay goes back to New England. If that's on, I don't know if not even.
Or Tampa Bay versus New York, or Indianapolis versus the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, of course, if you get to handpick your games, that helps with the process. But again, we'll just have to see. And what I see is a lot more of the whole Peyton Eli kind of taking more of the precedence than.
But just remember the quarterbacks, and I think almost again the quarterback, the preparation that they do, and I say, and not to say, I'm not saying that. Well, I guess I am saying that they're more prepared than anybody else on the field. They have that experience calling plays. Is the point I'm trying to say? They have that experience calling plays.
No, that's great, Cam. That's great, and lots of quarterbacks have that experience calling plays. It does not make them a presence in front of the camera, and it does not allow them to be like really articulate and informative with regards to how the game is going.
You're exactly right. But if Brian Greasy can get up there and has a Monday Night Football job on the other end, Brian Greasy versus Peyton Manning, come on. I don't think all Peyton Manning has to do is verbalize. He just has to talk, and he within his right arm he has more. And that's not even fair.
You're not giving Brian Greasy enough credit, man. You're not giving these broadcasters enough credit. Basically, what you're saying is that anybody that's really got a Super Bowl pedigree can just walk off the street and be an announcer.
I'm thinking any quarterback can do that job. I mean, I want to say quarterback because they're calling every single play.
That's naive. That's naive to think so.
I don't think so. Clevon, when I played the game, I was.
Playing the game does not make you articulate. Playing the game does not make you able to convey what it is that you're saying.
I understand what you're trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is half of that is preparation, though. Half of that, if you're prepared, you can talk the game. And if you know what everybody is trying to do, and the quarterback essentially has to know what everybody's doing from the lineman to the wide receiver to what the defense is doing. And that's why I identify the quarterback. So the center knows that as well. Some running backs know that also with the linemen, with the receivers, and what the defense is doing as well. So there's more than the quarterback, but the quarterback is calling the plays. That's why I'm identifying the quarterback, because they're the one calling the plays. But again, the center has to know what they're doing. The fullback, the running backs, if they're pass blocking, that pass pro, they have to understand that as well, how the defense is playing them, so they can make the appropriate blocks and step up and make the appropriate play, check down when they're available. So everybody has to know what's going on. But the quarterback calling the plays, that's why I'm saying that most any quarterback, when I started by saying that, most any quarterback can come in and do that job because they understand what everybody's doing on the field. Verbalize, and I get you. I understand what you're saying. Verbalizing that is something totally different. But Peyton Manning, we've seen him with his various shows be able to verbalize that, right? We saw him have that experience of being able to do that. He's a talker. He's not the quiet guy, and that's where the reservation with Eli is. Eli's been the quiet, humdrum kind of guy. We can see in the press conference that they have, Peyton Manning is more freely to break things down and talk to you about anything. Hell, I can send you a video when Deshaun Watson breaks the game down. I asked him a simple question, like, what did you see from the defense on this play? And then he gave me everything what all 11 men were doing on one particular play. If he was able to verbalize on on the camera, once that red light goes on, he can do this job. And that's why I identified quarterbacks. But we see the transition that Peyton Manning has done. That's why I think he'll be he can come walk right into the room and do the job better, if not as good as, if not better than Tony Romo. So everybody's going Google Gaga over Tony Romo. He was just an average quarterback. So imagine what one of these top flight quarterbacks can do, who sees the game at a much better rapid pace than him. That's why I would expect Peyton Manning to be done with that. But we'll see what's happening. Well, we're going to leave it there. That's why I'm just throwing out why I think Peyton will be good. We got reservations on Eli. Maybe Peyton carries Eli a little bit, but we'll see how that thing transitions out. What do you think about now the NFL? Essentially, we had the situation last year where Denver was playing a wide receiver at quarterback. You know, they had the COVID breakout. And so the NFL didn't cancel their game, but they ended up playing on Tuesday. And on Tuesday night, they had their wide receiver playing quarterback. Now what the NFL is saying is we're not changing our schedule up again. We're not changing up our schedule like that. And if a team has an outbreak, they're going to be forced to forfeit that game due to a COVID outbreak. If these players who they have the outbreak are not vaccinated. What do you think about the NFL doing that?
I think that it is somewhat proactive, but at the same time, I don't think that it will be enforced the same way for every team. And I don't think it'll be enforced the same way depending on what the record of the team is and what the ramifications of that forfeiture would be.
So you don't think the Buccaneers are going to be forced to forfeit a game? Is that what you're saying?
If the Buccaneers are 9-7 and miss the playoffs because of a forfeiture, no, I don't think that's going to happen. If the Dallas Cowboys are in that same position, no, I don't think that's going to happen. If the New England Patriots are in that same position, no, I don't think it's going to happen.
So
the Jacksonville Jaguars are in that position, you got to take that out.
The Jets and the Broncos.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions. Yeah.
All those guys are getting L's. They're
getting L's.
That's going to be interesting to see how that breaks down. So speaking of the Lions, man, we got our predictions here for the NFC North already laid out here. I mean, your predictions are kind of laughable. You want to tell the people where you have your predictions are? We actually have the same.
I'll do it real quick because it's the North and it's not going to be a whole lot of noise from that division this year. So Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, in that order.
So we have the Packers at number 2.
Yes.
The Packers being the second. We both have that. Now, Clevon, you and I both talked about last season how Justin Jones, how he wasn't accurate in college football at Ohio State.
Justin Fields,
excuse me, how he was inaccurate at Ohio State.
Right.
He was challenged in big games. And now you have Justin Fields and the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, as your quarterbacks in the Bears. How do you have either one of those guys leading the Bears to
great running game, quality receivers, solid defense? And by process of elimination, the other 3 teams in the league suck. It's the second worst division behind the NFC East. And the NFC East probably actually has a little bit more talent than the NFC North.
I have the Vikings winning this division.
Not a bad pick.
I have the Vikings winning that division. The Packers coming in second. I have the Lions coming in third place.
Oh, wow.
Over the Bears. I don't know where you see the Bears winning that division. The Bears is atrocious, man. The Bears are going to be terrible. They got
so what you got on it, Cam? The Bears will not finish last. What you got on it?
The Bears will not finish last in that division?
Yeah. What you got on it?
I mean, what you want to put on it? Make it light on yourself, fella.
Oh.
I'm not. Daniels ain't worth the dinner. This is not worth the dinner at Daniels.
That's what I wanted to hear.
I mean, we already got an Ivory.
Not quite that confident, are you?
I mean, no. Well, okay. the Bears. I'm not putting no money
back
on.
a tad bit.
I'm not putting no money
You're
on
not
red.
really that confident the Bears are going to finish last in that division.
They're not beating. They're not.
Hey Cam, I like ribs. How ribs sound?
There is a new rib spot up there. Well, we could do a catfish corner. We could do a catfish corner.
I want a pound of ribs while you do this, homie.
Listen, look at it. You gotta wait, nah. A pound of ribs from where?
I got a couple spots we can go to, but you got to watch me eat that, savory, succulent rib with the, with the smoke ring. Deal
for the Bears?
Yeah, Bears are not going to finish last in that division. Are we good?
Bears are finishing last in that division.
Okay, write that down.
I'm about to write it down right now.
We're good. We're in. Man, I'm about to get some hearty ribs, man. This is great. Fans, I don't know. I'm feeling like I'm going to gain 15 pounds after we're done with all this analysis. Just on the
Falcons
succulent and flavorful food I'm going to get on these
coming
wagers.
in at number 2. Falcons coming in at number 2 or better in the NFC South, and that's Irish
that
bar.
Is not happening.
Yeah, okay. Now,
wow, you don't understand the NFC, huh? I hope you understand the AFC a little bit better than the NFC because you really are not seeing what's about to happen.
So I got, hold on, what's this now? The Bears, I got Bears coming in last place.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I just don't know. We already broke this down. I don't know where you going wrong. When we broke it down that Fields is not the guy at quarterback. Neither is.
And then I reassessed what the NFC North looked like, and I was like, "Oh man, well, hey,
the Vikings have a good defense.
Even if he starts the first game of the season, which I don't think that he will. I think the Red Rifle will start the first game of the season and probably get, hopefully, Lord willing, he'll get through the third game of the season, and then it'll just be time to pass the ball over to Justin Fields, and he'll be comfortable enough by that time.
Justin Fields is going to get the baton at 1 and 2, and then he's going to win 3 or 4 games the rest of the year. The 5 wins is not
still may be enough to not finish last in that division, Cam. That's what I'm saying.
Well, golf is going to golf is good for at least 5 or 6 games.
Is he?
He should be.
That squad?
He should be.
Oh, who's that running back?
Swift, DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. He's one of them.
That's true.
1 pound of ribs for the winner.
With all the sides. The beans, the macaroni, the slice of sweet potato pie, all that. A tall glass of iced tea.
Okay. Bill's coming to last place in their division.
With your SpaghettiOs, man. Yeah.
Cam says yes. Clevon says no.
And we will post this, fans, before the season starts. All of these wagers, because they are all so sexy, right? Just to figure out who's really going to win and who has to.
That's week 48. That's week 148 right there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got some more on the table. So now let's look at our top 10 fantasy football wide receivers. Again, fans, get this information now because we're not talking fantasy football the whole month of August. We're going to look at the defense next week, and then that's it. Now this isn't top 10, 1 through I get my top 5. This isn't 1 through 5. These are just 5 receivers I think will be quality pickups here in coming into this draft. And you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
No, you go first, Cam.
The 5 receivers I've identified. Actually, I got 6 up here I've identified. Calvin Ridley. he's only splitting catches with the rookie, and I think he's gonna get more than the rookie. So Calvin Ridley is gonna be a good pickup. DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks. I think he's gonna be a.
I'm sure that Daniels tab made you a believer.
Keenan Allen, I think is going to be a good guy to target coming off of second year with another second year with his new quarterback. Terry McLaurin, your guy.
Scoring McLaurin is on your list. I like that, Cam.
He's playing with the rifleman.
It's magic, sure.
He's playing with the rifleman, the gunslinger who's going to put it up there. So he's going to have a lot of opportunities. CeeDee Lamb, I said last year that they would have the most explosive offense in the league, and before they got hurt, before Dak got hurt and messed up his ankle, they were scoring a lot of points, but they're also giving up a lot of points. So I had CeeDee Lamb kind of doing a return favor out there, doing the same thing, and then Robert Woods, LA Rams receiver. Now whether he's going to be the deep threat or he's going to be still going underneath, he's going to catch a lot of balls this season. So I think Robert Woods is going to be a good those are my 6 receivers. And you want to go ahead and give your list?
Sure. And I actually, Cam, I did like your list quite a bit. But from a fantasy perspective, Stephon Diggs. I was not a big Stephon Diggs fan, as you well know. Fans, as you well know, not my favorite dude. He shut me up last year.
I'm just not a big fan of his quarterback. That's the only thing. I'm just not a huge fan of the quarterback. But I mean,
I'm a big fan of their connection.
Okay.
And the way that he goes to him, he's his number one go-to guy. So fans, a second pick. I'm not happy to say it, because I don't like to do it. Cam knows where I'm going with this. And he's getting all giddy about it. They don't deserve it. Jalen Waddle, man. He's going to be Tua's security blanket. Tua already knows where it's going. They've already done this a couple times. He has a chance to be that dude, and he wants to be that dude so bad. Michael Irvin 2.0. Does he have the ability to back up the swag? We'll see, but Lord knows he wants it bad enough. He could be that dude.
Okay.
So, Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill. The end. DeAndre Hopkins.
Say no more. Say no more, T. Hill. That's all you got to say. Say no more.
Hey, DeAndre Hopkins has Leo over there now. Take a little bit of pressure off him. Wow. Sometimes it's not always going to be double coverage. Sometimes it's going to be me and you. If it's me and you too many times, you're gonna win most of those, right? So DeAndre. And then last but not least, unlike CD, I'm gonna go the other way with the receiver in Dallas. Amari.
That one had to hurt too, because it did.
Birds had 2 Alabama receivers on my list. Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. Hey, that's you recognize.
Gross. But we're talking fantasy, man. We'll see what happens. But yeah, those two certainly can put up big numbers in their current environment.
So we done gave you 11 receivers, fans, for you guys to look at when you're making your fantasy drafts this season. 11 receivers. Quality receivers for you to look at. So if you guys happen to get either one or a couple of these guys, you should be in a good position in your fantasy football receiver list. Clevon, when we come back, man, we're going to talk about this week in history. And then we got some questions, man. Kind of going back to the NBA Finals. We're going to get back into the NBA Finals talk. We'll talk some Olympics, just Olympics in general. And then the Seattle Kraken. They had their draft the other day. I want to know what the spirit, what the mood is up there. Hopefully the way I read it, they went for more budget-friendly guys than the high ticket guys. But does budget-friendly mean better teammates, or does budget-friendly means less athletes? I don't see if Clevon can answer that question. And see what the vibe is up there with the Seattle Kraken about to get started out here in a couple months. So let's take a little break, Clevon. When we come back, we're going to have these topics for you. All right, Mr. Clevon. Let's this week in history. Back in 1896, July 21st, National Association of Colored Women was founded by Mary Church Terrell in Washington, D.C. National Association of Colored Women, founded in Washington, D.C. in 1896 by Mary Church Terrell. 1861, July 22nd, President Lincoln read the first draft of the Emancipation Proclamation to the cabinet. Clearly, there was nobody in the cabinet that looked like us, so they could have sent them back in for a third and fourth edit. But for the first time, they read the draft of the Emancipation Proclamation to the cabinet. Almost 100 years later, 1943, July 25th, the first warship named for a black person, the SS Leonard Roy Harmon, launched in Quincy, Massachusetts in 1943. So there was a warship actually named after a black person, the SS Leonard Roy Harmon, which was launched in Quincy, Massachusetts in 1943. In 2006, July 21, A-Rod, now a member of the New York Yankees, collected his 2,000th career hit and became the youngest player to reach the 450 home run mark. That was in 2006, 450 home runs. A-Rod became the youngest player to hit that many home runs. Obviously, he played for the farm team for the New York Yankees for so many years in Seattle. Clevon, looking back at this finals, man, did Monty Williams get out coached games 3, 4, 5, and 6?
No.
No, Giannis was just that much better.
Yes.
The Buccaneers were just better than the.
No, Giannis Antetokounmpo was unstoppable. So there was no adjustments to be made. You don't get out coached when somebody goes 50, 14, and 5.
What do you see that Booker and Ayton need to work on?
I think it's unfair to kind of make that type of assessment. They were both in their first NBA finals. Their fearless leader had never been to an NBA finals, so could only take them so far and only had so much tribal knowledge with regards to what it takes and what you need to do to win an NBA finals. His mentor, R.I.P. Kobe Bryant, was not there to give him advice and life lessons with regards to playing in the NBA finals. And DeAndre Ayton was just happy to be there, man. I mean, let's be honest, man. Dude's 21 years old. I mean, there's only so much you can do in that situation if someone is going for 50, 14, and 5 and just cannot be stopped. And every time he comes at you, it's just too much for you, man.
Well,
I don't know if there's really anything
right,
they can do. They could have done differently to change the outcome of what happened.
I mean, clearly you got some of Giannis's 50 piece nuggets there from the other night. He did that in game 6. He went for 40 a couple of times in games 2 and 3, I want to say.
Okay. So games 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. I mean, that's just a whole bunch of games, right, Cam?
But what I'm saying is,
You don't get out coached when somebody keeps coming for you over and over and over again, and you don't get outplayed, and there's nothing you could have done differently to change the outcome of that.
so I gave you a couple of things where I thought Booker can get better earlier, earlier in the show. One example, we'll go back to the steal from was that game 5 when the steal from Drew Holiday, where instead of continue to drive to the hoop, he could have stopped and pulled up, and his mid-range jumper is deadly. That's one thing he can identify that a little bit better. He had a couple of times in game 6 where he just continued to penetrate a little bit too deep and into the defensive teeth of the defense, where he could have pulled up at the elbow. He could have pulled up just a step beyond the elbow and hit that mid-range jumper. He has that in his repertoire. Instead of trying to force it, and he did miss a couple bunnies there. Just kind of go have more confidence in the game at that point. So that's something that Booker can work on. Ayton, so you say he's happy to be there. Ayton played like a beast for 3 series of the playoffs. Series in the, what is it? The first round, the conference semifinals, and against the Clippers, he played like a beast all the way up until playing against Giannis. So to say that, this is his first time getting there, he's showed us that he has game. Now in Game 6, I think in Game 6 is where he looked after missing a couple of free throws, and then after Giannis continuously pushing the, after Giannis continuously pushing him down in the paint, that he kind of put him on his heels a little bit. So we saw that, but I think he's just played stronger, played tougher, and maybe that's just something he picks up. He picks up from being in the finals at least one time.
Something he might be able to get in his 3rd season. Yeah, I think that's an unrealistic expectation for him to have that same type of production in the NBA Finals that he had in the other 3 rounds. He was feeling very confident. The team was doing very well, and the pressure was not as great. The pressure is much greater when you get to the NBA Finals, and you have to, perform at your peak performance level. It's not uncommon for players to fall a little bit short of, their unlimited potential in that arena.
Well, you're not wrong in what you're saying. I just think for the fact that we've seen him perform kind of at a high level.
You have. And in the NBA Finals, he did admirably for where he is in his development. But to ask him to just be going for 20 and 14, and no. It's okay that the situation was a little bit overwhelming for him.
Okay, that's fair. And then he was going up against a superior talent. I'll grant you that. Who goes further in the playoffs next season? The Bucks or the Suns?
The Bucks.
The Bucks go further in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Bucks were number 3 in the East this season.
Brooklyn, Philadelphia, the Bucks. Yeah.
Do they finish higher than the 3rd seed?
Hard to say.
Hard to say. I say no. That's not that hard to say. No, they won't. They won't finish higher than the 3rd seed.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't know what Philly's doing. We don't know how healthy or mentally stable the Nets are going to be. So we'll see.
Mentally stable. I had a what if segment. I do have a what if segment.
Kyrie Irving might be walking in the desert of Wyoming in the middle of the playoffs, trying to find himself.
Fair point.
Trying to find the spirit of the ancestors, man. You don't know.
fair point. I'm not going to argue that one. Giannis or Anthony Davis moving forward? Who do you take?
Anthony Davis.
What?
Anthony Davis.
What is it? What is it that Anthony Davis does better than Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Everything. Greater skill set, more ability. He's just not as durable.
Get the
Giannis.
See, Giannis, yeah. Hopefully, his people.
So now you're trying to back me into the Lakers.
Hopefully, his people are texting you right now because for an hour and a half, you've been telling me how great Giannis is, and then now you're about to tell me you take Anthony.
For an hour and a half, I have been telling you how great a performance and how great Giannis played in the NBA Finals, and how Game 6 was the greatest NBA Finals performance we've ever seen. Now, who is a better player? Who is more skilled? Who is more talented between Anthony Davis and Giannis Antetokounmpo? It's Anthony Davis. I don't even really see why this is a question. All of Giannis' shots were within 5 feet of the rim. Can you say the same about Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis shoots 82% from the free throw line.
Has Anthony Davis did anything that Giannis has he had a better performance when it counted? You want to go back to when it counted, when Game 6, when it absolutely matters, you have to have it. Has Anthony Davis done anything like this? Anything remotely like this?
You know, I do recall him hitting a game-winning 3 in the bubble that kind of advanced the Los Angeles Lakers to the next round. You probably don't remember that. That's fine.
Was that Game 6?
You probably don't remember the way that.
Was that Game 6 of the finals? Was that Game 6 of the NBA Finals?
It was not.
Oh, so it doesn't equate.
So because he did not have that opportunity to have that kind of performance in an NBA Finals game, does not diminish his skill set or his talents, and does not say that he is not a better player than Giannis Antetokounmpo, which he is. That's more skills.
Is your phone? Did you turn your ringer off? Did you silence your ringer? Because it has to be blown up right now with Giannis's people telling you how buffoonish you are, how buffoonish you sound.
Nothing.
Yeah. It has to be going off right now. It has to be going off right now. And if it doesn't, it'll be going off tonight. You're not gonna be able to sleep because they're gonna be telling you how buffoonish you are with that statement. Like, what's your Twitter handle? Let the people respond to you about
Clevy Wonder on Twitter, Clevon Steele on Instagram.
Clevon, and you can find me at What's Good in Sport. That's the letter N Sport, no singular, or Voice of Fans on Instagram. Clevon, let Clevon know how stupid he sounds when he says he'd take Anthony Davis over Giannis Antetokounmpo. Has Anthony Davis been Finals MVP?
No, but he does have an NBA Finals championship.
Well, that wasn't because of him. He had somebody.
Tremendous contributor.
He had somebody else. Yeah. He had somebody else leading and guiding him to the wall, to the well, so he can drink out of the pool of. Would you say the Goblet of Champions? Somebody else had to lead him there, right? That wasn't him. Giannis took his team to the Goblet, right? Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. Enough said. I think I made my point right there. So, what if KD doesn't step on the line and that 3 goes down? We have Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Finals who waxed the Phoenix Suns, right? What if Kyrie or Kawhi doesn't get hurt? Do the Suns even make it to the finals? And we have Ballmer.
I don't deal with those type of hypotheticals, Cam, because clearly the narrative is that no, none of that stuff happens if players don't get hurt. No, none of that stuff happens if KD is up on the line. No, none of that happens, but it did. So, yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that on this show. We don't do that on this show. You know that. What if so-and-so wouldn't have fumbled? What if so-and-so wouldn't have jumped off sides? No, man, we don't. What if so-and-so would have caught the ball instead of not catching it? No. We do not do that on this show.
Fair enough. So we talked about it earlier. You expect Booker to be on a plane to Tokyo right now. You expect him to be landing in Tokyo to go get a gold medal, and Holiday and what you call it in
Chris
Middleton.
Middleton.
They might as well wear street clothes the whole time. They might as well be in street clothes the whole time. Not even they probably didn't even need to bring their hoop shoes. Holiday may get some time. Middleton, sit over there, man. Make sure that side of the bench doesn't fly up in the air.
Well, fortunately for Team USA, it is Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton adverse, let's say, James Harden and Carmelo Anthony in the same situation. It probably would have been a little bit different. Like, kind of hard to get motivated and focused back into playing hoops after winning a championship. I'm a little hungover. I need to get some IVs, to get hydrated again. These guys are not those guys. So, yeah, they'll just get off the plane and be professionals and, help the USA team win a gold medal.
What do you think about the U.S. soccer team, man? Losing a game after 44 straight. They're having their 44 games.
Sometimes you get a little full of yourself. Sometimes you get a little cocky, a little arrogant. Sometimes you get a little long in the tooth. I'm not quite sure that they have replenished the talent that they've had over all of these years with, talent that's capable of sustaining that type of greatness. And right now they're being challenged, and we'll see.
They got some talented youth on the team, though. It's not all Rapinoe 40 plus.
They lost a game, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying
they lost in like 17 years, right?
They got some talented youth on this team, so it's I think they've done a fair job of revolving that talent, and we'll see. They're not out of the tournament play as yet, out of medal play, but that was a surprising that they lost the first game. The Tokyo Olympic chief said he's considering canceling the games if they have many more outbreaks. What's the possibility of the whole world going to Tokyo and they actually cancel the games? What's the chances of that happening?
There's no chance of them canceling the games. There is a lot of opportunity to be extremely embarrassed about the state of affairs. A lot of things that are out of their control, but they're not going to cancel the games. There's just too much of a financial ramification if they did that, and they just won't.
Yeah, I agree. Once they have the opening ceremonies tomorrow, if they don't cancel the game before tomorrow morning, like 4 a.m., I don't see them canceling the games, period. They're going to suffer through and, may have some hiccups and some setbacks, but they're going to suffer through it once the whole world gets over there. And I doubt they're going to cancel the games. Are you interested in seeing the opening ceremony? It's going to be 4 a.m. your time. Will you be turning on NBC Network to watch the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games? Is that because you're not interested, or that's because of 4 a.m.? Which one?
It's a combination of things. First off, I've been spoiled by the London 2012 Olympic ceremony. Never seen nothing like that one. David Beckham coming up off the water in the James Bond boat, and then just playing just song after song from the UK's greatest hits, and the athletes just being like so engaged. Nothing like it. So after that one, I was kind of spoiled. The one in Rio was cool. I mean, what I'm saying, but nothing will ever top 2012.
Every city's trying to top the other city, man. It's going to be down here.
Nothing will ever top 2012. And if you have it with no fans, then yeah. I mean, how empty will that sound? I mean, like,
right? Yeah,
what are they?
That's true.
And you have some of these countries they only have like 2 representatives, right? And let's be like, yeah. I mean, that's no. I have no desire to watch that whatsoever.
The Olympics comes to Los Angeles in 2028. That is going to be LA's preparing today for the Olympics in 8 years from now. So that's going to be bananas 7 years now. 7 years from now. That's going to be oh my goodness. We get the Super Bowl next year.
You like the potential, don't you? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's going to be amazing. Let's talk about the Seattle Kraken. What's the tone of the city up there about the Kraken? Like I say, they went for their player or the contract-friendly players. They didn't. They avoided the guys who had the high salaries. They did get a couple Stanley Cup winners on the team. They got the goalie from the losing Tampa Bay. He did lose the Stanley Cup this past year, right? Tampa Bay did not win. No, excuse me. I take that back. Tampa Bay won it. Tampa Bay won it. So this guy is the Stanley Cup winner in the net next year. What's everybody thinking about the Kraken?
Perfectly honest with you, Cam, I think that they don't really, although they are knowledgeable hockey fans, they don't really know what to expect. And whatever the Kraken roll out there, so long as they're not just a perennial loser and just embarrass themselves, Seattle will be happy with it. Everything after that is just gravy, icing on the cake.
Did you ever go to a Thunderbirds game?
I went to one Thunderbirds game when Goodall was like the Wayne Gretzky of whatever that league is. Right?
Yeah. It was AAA. It was AAA hockey.
Right. So I went to one game and he lit it up just like Wayne Gretzky. I was like, wow, it's a different kind of a crowd. It's very engaged, and I didn't know all the rules at the time, and icing and offsides and this and that and shift changes.
I don't know any of the rules. I still don't know any of the rules.
So it was cool to watch. I mean, it's a very fast-paced game, and I'm one of those guys that always kind of watches the ESPN highlights and has my favorite players throughout the NHL. So that part of it is cool, and I have been to a Thunderbirds game, so I do kind of understand a little bit of it, but we'll see. The town has already embraced the Kraken so deeply because we don't have a basketball team, and other than the Seahawks, which are obviously this standard. And well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. We have the Seahawks, we have the Storm, and we have the Sounders, all champions in their own respect. So this is just something to kind of.
So are the Kraken higher than the Mariners on the pecking order? Are they higher than the Mariners right now? I'm just wondering now. I mean, they have to be kind of even. If not, the Kraken has a little bit more optimism. That has to be the case, right? So, so I went to several Thunderbirds games. And back then, I mean, when the Thunderbirds were playing, and I mean that was early '80s, late '70s, early '80s. I mean, I was just dropped off and said, "Okay, go buy your ticket and go to the game." And so, staying in your seat. I mean, at that age, 11, 12 years old, we're not able to stay in our seat that long. I wasn't either. So I would start roaming the arenas with the players. I remember my vivid memory is the players went in for one of their periods, and I wanted to see where the players were going. I didn't know they're going in the locker room for their break to cool off for a minute. I wasn't aware of what goes on during the breaks. So I get downstairs to where I see them going down this hallway and going into the room. So I'm going into the room. And then one of the guys like, no, you can't go in there. So I stood to the side and then let him walk away. And then I went into the room. And that's when the players are in there, having the water, some pissing. They took their uniform off and what have you. And so one of the guys said, okay, you can't be in here. So I went out in the hallway and I was just kind of waiting for the players to come out of the hallway. Clevon, I'm standing in the middle of the hallway when they come barging through the doors, Clevon. And these players and their skates and their sticks, they seem like they were 8 feet tall. And I'm in the middle, a little guy, 9 or 10 years old, standing in the middle there, and they weren't expecting me, I weren't expecting them, but who's gonna lose in that battle? Clearly I get plastered against the wall as these guys are just racing back to the court. Like, they're doing their thing. I'm not mad at them. They're doing their thing. I was probably somewhere I shouldn't have been, basically. And they're rushing back to the court, man. It was that was the craziest feeling, like almost get run over by these hockey players. I go find my way, go back to the court or go back to the ice, go back, in the stands, if you will. And by this time I'm sitting right on the glass now, and these guys are getting slammed right up against. I still don't understand the rules. I know they're ice skating. They're on the ice skating, and then guys get slammed right in front of me. I was like, okay, man, these guys are serious. I thought at least with football you can put on a helmet, right? These guys back then they weren't wearing helmets. Helmets weren't mandatory. Like today they're mandatory. Back then they're getting shoulders to the chin, shoulder to the teeth. They're losing teeth out there. I'm like, oh boy, man, these guys are a lot tougher than many people would anticipate. But then I was like, okay, now I want to see Wayne Gretzky play. I'm ready to see Wayne Gretzky. And when I found out that the guy's like, well, Wayne Gretzky doesn't play, I asked somebody in the stands, when does Wayne Gretzky come to town? Because I wanted to be there for that when he came to town. And the guy's like, Wayne Gretzky, he's not coming to play these guys. I was like, well, shit, what am I watching then? I don't want to watch these guys no more. I'm done. I was done. That was the last Thunderbirds game I went to. And when they told me
the epiphany that it was
when they said Wayne Gretzky ain't coming to town,
the tip top of them.
I'm like, what the hell is this? What the hell am I watching then? That was the last Thunderbirds game I went to, is when I found out Wayne Gretzky won't be coming to play those guys. So
that had to be disappointing. I can imagine.
I mean, I was like, I'm like, okay, Wayne Gretzky. When does he come to town? Like, I want to be there for that. Nope. So
you're all engaged.
I'm like, I'm bought in. And Wayne Gretzky came to town, I might have been playing hockey the next season. Who knows? And buddy, Wayne Gretzky ain't coming to play these guys. I'm like, shit, well, the hell with these guys. The last I watched it, I didn't pay no attention to the Thunderbirds after that. That was just it was a weird moment, if you will. But it would be interesting to see. I still got to get me a Kraken hat, man, or a sweatshirt or something, because they are dope. They are dope, and there's going to be a lot of fans out there. So I looked into this traffic issue that you talked about a couple of weeks ago, and apparently they're going to upgrade the monorail the monorail was built in 1962. So it's 60 years later.
Upgraded to do what?
Add another car. They need to extend it. I mean, I think it's kind of past their prime. I'm surprised the monorail's still running, actually. When a guy kind of told me that they're going to upgrade it, I'm kind of surprised the monorail's still running.
As a 206 native, what do you think about that traffic solution? You're going to upgrade the monorail.
Here's the thing. So now you have to park. You have to park along.
That's like running the 2 and the 3 in extra time every 15 minutes. Is that really gonna get it done?
But if you park along the route of the monorail, now you can take the monorail into downtown and avoid that traffic that's right there at the Coliseum. And somebody said the light rail, but the light rail doesn't even go. The light rail runs off of Denny, right? So is there a commuter? There's supposed to be a commuter bus or something that goes from Denny to.
How are you going to get there when Denny is a parking lot? It's not moving. Yeah. It doesn't make any. It doesn't. That's not a solution.
So what
you're listening to yourself. You're talking yourself through it, and you're laughing at yourself, right? Because you realize if that's your solution, well, that's not a solution.
And in the monorail, so each car holds like 30 people, 40 people maybe, right? I mean, does it? I can't remember.
I don't think it holds that many, but okay.
30, 40 people at one, and there's 2 of them?
The monorail goes from, sorry fans, they're not from Seattle or the 206. It goes about less than a mile.
2 miles. No, it goes 2 miles. It goes 2 miles into downtown.
Sorry. It goes 2 miles.
It goes into downtown. So you got 2.
Who is this really helping? If it only goes 2 miles,
that gives you don't have to come immediately downtown. Oh, you don't have to come to Denny.
But
And
if
what's
you
the other street?
don't,
Denny and
2
First Street.
miles, 2 miles south, where are you going to park there?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of parking. Hey, you're right about that. You're right
No,
about that.
yeah.
But you don't have to go all the way downtown. Is the point I'm making? To what is it? To Denny and First.
Oh, so you only have to go to 5th and Westlake, where
Yeah,
there's no parking.
you and hit one of the parking lots on the side. And
I mean, for $45, and they're always full. So they've been full since 7:30 that morning, and nobody's gone home yet.
and nobody's still going home because they're going to the
They're going to the Kraken game, right? So why would I go to my parking spot? Jump on the monorail, right?
So what's your plan of action? You gonna Uber? What's Uber early? I mean, what's your plan of action? How will you avoid
If
that?
I'm going to a Kraken game, which I fully intend to attend, it has to be a Ferris Bueller's Day Off, man. There's no way to plan to kind of get there, because even once you get there, you can't get out.
Okay, you get there the best way you can. When you leave, what's the best way to go? I think the best way to go is to take the monorail. At least you'll get away from that traffic. You get
the best way to do a Kraken game is to get there about 3:00 in the afternoon and leave about midnight.
And just plan on being there and tailgating. Are they allowing tailgating?
It has to be no.
Well, shit, where the hell are you gonna tailgate?
Where are you gonna tailgate at? Oh, that was starting to. Now Cam's starting to get it.
Where are you gonna do?
Now Cam is starting to see the full picture. What does all this mean? Where are you gonna do it at?
Yeah. I mean, and there's only a few. Hell, there's the Dick's there. I was gonna say there's only a few restaurants. What other restaurants are there than Dick's right around there where you can go?
There used to be a Jalisco's that is gone. There's a few other spots, but
like walking distance. Like you get out of the arena and you plan on staying till midnight. So you get out of the arena at 10:00. Where are you gonna go to have a beer? You're gonna have to go over to First Street. I mean, there might be a couple bars open, but there's no quote unquote restaurants for you to sit at.
There's a few places within walking distance. We'll have to see how they feel about it and how they adjust and adapt to what's going on. But
yeah. But I mean, you have to go over towards what should I have? How might I have a brain fart? I want to say Monrovia, but I know that's not it. Queen Anne. What's the city past Queen Anne? Further. What's this? How am I having a brain fart?
Where are you talking about?
My brother lives right over there.
Oh, Magnolia.
Magnolia. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have to go that direction, is what I'm saying, for any type of restaurant.
I mean, we will see how everything kind of unfolds. I mean, obviously, as a stadium is getting built, obviously these other establishments will, come into fruition, understanding the, economical ramifications of being in that strategic location. So that will happen, but it's all about the in and the out, man. There's no way to get in or out.
Okay. So talk to us about Shohei. Well, before we get to Shohei, Oakland agrees to a new stadium for the A's. They signed a tenure, so the A's look like they're going to stay in Oakland after all these thoughts about moving to Portland or Vegas or whatever. Looks like the A's are going to stay in there. That still gives Seattle out. The Mariners are out to move to Portland. That still leaves that city open for them guys to kind of go down the street, go south on I-5 a little bit. So what about Shohei Otani, man? You got a Shohei update? I mean, he got a couple.
Good player.
A couple dingers off the Mariners, right?
Good player.
Yeah, that's where you want to leave it at. Yeah. He's better than a good player. I mean, I know you got a little animosity there, but he's better than a good player.
But I mean, how much better can he be than a good player? I mean, he's quite potentially the MVP of the league this season, and they had the MVP of the league before he got hurt. So imagine what happens when those two are on the lineup at the same time. Could do some big things.
So go ahead. 120 seconds on your Mariners. What's going on with the Mariners since All-Star break? What are they doing? They beat the Angels at one game. I do know that. What are they doing? Let me get my stopwatch.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
yeah. So I'm not even gonna take the full time, Cam.
Okay.
They won the series with the Angels. They've been better than average since they came back from the All-Star break. They're about 2.5, 3 games out of the wild card. They need to get healthier, and once they do so, I do feel they will make the playoffs before the Miami Dolphins. I'm gonna leave it right there.
I'm not sure where the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins.
Oh, you don't. Oh, look at your little
sticky
sticky pad. You don't got your sticky pad right there.
Yeah,
That was one of our potential wagers.
Miami Dolphins will be in the playoffs this season, and for you to compare them to the Mariners, you should be. Somebody should slap you. Your wife.
Well, first off, the Miami Dolphins will not be in the playoffs. First off, the Miami Dolphins will not be in the playoffs this year. And secondly, I do believe that the Seattle Mariners quite possibly will be in the playoffs before the Miami Dolphins. And I'll have a better analysis at the end of July.
You have to come with something better than that. Well, the end of July is next week.
Yeah, so they have a series coming up against Houston and a series coming up against Oakland. Once those two are done, I'll have a better idea of how I feel about our potential wager. But I feel very confident about it because I know the Dolphins aren't going to make the playoffs this year. So I know that even if the Mariners don't make the playoffs this year, I can still hedge my bet for next year.
You can hedge your bet for next year.
Right.
Well, just as I mentioned, the Oakland A's are essentially locking themselves into staying in Oakland. So that still leaves Portland and Vegas available for the Mariners to move out of town. You don't think that's a good plan?
It's not going to happen, man. If they don't make the playoffs this year, they will definitely make the playoffs next year. But we'll know more after the end of this next week.
And you loser fans is holding on for that. Well, we'll do it next year. We'll have the heck of a season. We'll be better next year.
Well, they'll make the playoffs before the Miami Dolphins. I'm just saying.
We'll see. We'll see about that. Fans, thank you guys for tuning in. He is Clevon. Clevon, give him your Twitter handle.
It is at Clevy Wonder on Twitter, Clevon Steele on Instagram.
And you can find me, your man Cam, at What's Good in Sport. That's What's Good in Sport on Twitter, and Voice of Fans on Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning in to another fantastic show of Voice of the Fans. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. I do have one thing I want to leave you guys with, one quote I want to leave you with tonight. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in, as always, to the baddest show in all the land. The quote I want to leave you guys with tonight is, do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. That's from Mr. John Wooden.
Is that from Giannis Antetokounmpo?
No, that's from John Wooden.
That's from Giannis, huh? Giannis said that at the press conference after Game 6, didn't he?
Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do.
If you can't shoot threes, if people think you can't shoot free throws, if people think you can't dribble,
don't give up on your dreams. That's what he did last night. In Game 6. That's what he did. He got it done. So congratulations, kudos to Giannis and the Buccaneers. That's what they're going to be affectionately called from now on, because they got it done. Giannis carried those guys to an NBA Finals championship berth. And we're not going to get into the what ifs, but yeah, what if they might not have been there? But congratulations to Giannis for getting it done in the finals. Somebody had to win, and Giannis, he snatched it from Phoenix, because we all had the Phoenix Suns coordinated. We was arguing about who was coordination going to be, Chris Paul or Devin Booker, and Giannis said no, it's my time. So congratulations for Giannis for getting it done. Fans, thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. As always, please rate and review our podcast. It really helps us out with the algorithms. And then, as always, thank you guys for making our voice your choice. Have a good one, Chief.
Good night. Take care.